friends, I'm Elaine. Welcome to the kitchen, and today is going to be something that my mom absolutely loved, and that is fried green tomatoes. And the interesting thing is, growing up, I was not a fan of tomatoes, and I definitely wasn't going to try a fried green tomato, but it's something that a lot of people do enjoy, and so I'm going to share a little recipe with you today. And instead of using oil, we're going to make this recipe in the air fryer. We can also bake this in the oven as well and get great results. But if you're like me and you're trying to watch or limit the oil intake in your diet, then this may be a thumbs up recipe for you. So without much further ado, we'll start by taking a look at the ingredients list. One of the things that I like to begin with first is going to be creating my sort of liquid dip for the recipe. And that's going to include a cup of almond milk. And this is milk that I have made myself. And if you'd like to know how to make your own almond milk, do check out my video and you can easily make this like that for yourselves at home. Next to that, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of flaxseed. And I'm just going to stir this together. Once it's nicely mixed, we'll just place this off to the side for about 5 minutes. So during that time, we can get started slicing our tomatoes. So one of the great things about being a gardener is getting things like green tomatoes right in your garden. So that's where these guys came from. They're nice and big and they are just solid. So this is going to make a great tomato for our fried green tomatoes. One of the first things I do, aside from cleaning the tomato and drying it off, is just to take, and I typically use a bread knife or a serrated knife, and I'm just going to remove the very bottom of it. So just kind of take that off to the side. You can choose the thickness of your tomatoes. So if you want something like 1/4 of an inch, 1/3 of an inch, whatever you like as far as the texture or the thickness of your patty, so to speak, is totally your choice. But I'm going to slice these about 1/4 of an inch thick. So once our tomatoes are sliced, we're going to then work on our flour and our seasonings. So I do have a cup of flour here, and I'm going to take about half of that flour and I'm going to put it into my first container. And you can typically do about 1/4 cup of flour to a 1/2 cup of flour, and that should be sufficient. I'm then going to take my remaining flour and I'm going to get it into my next container. And then along with this second container, I'm going to add in my breadcrumbs. You may use flaxseed. You can also, of course, use cornmeal. That's like the #1 thing that people do use. There are times I do use cornmeal. Today I'm using the breadcrumbs. So I'm just going to kind of give that an initial stir. And then I'm going to then just add in all of my seasonings. So from my garlic powder and my thyme to my parsley and granulated onion. I also have my basil and oregano. And then of course you can omit the cayenne pepper if you like. If you like a little bit of kick, you can go ahead and do 1/4 teaspoon of the cayenne pepper as well as your black pepper. And then we're just going to mix this all together. And now we have our seasoned flour mixture ready to go. Okay, and then what we're going to do is just start by dipping our tomato into our initial flour. And we're just gonna kind of tap some of that off if it's clumping a little bit because it may not allow the other to stick so well, so that looks pretty good. I'm then going to dip it into my liquid mixture. And with my using the flaxseed, if it's a little thick, you can also add a little bit more milk or a little bit of water. And then we're going to go ahead and dip that into our next mixture. Get that coated really nicely on the sides too. Isn't that gorgeous? And then we're just going to place it right onto our air fryer tray, just like that. And we're just going to continue this process through, and then we'll get it into the air fryer. After we have those nicely coated, as shown here, we're going to get them into the air fryer. I'm going to place them at 400 degrees. I'm looking at about a 10-minute timing. I may also check them about halfway and flip them and see how they're crisping up. Here goes. One item that you might like to do is mist your basket for the air fryer with an oil mister. So that way the topping does not stick to your pan. I don't care about that aspect. It doesn't have to win a pageant or an award or anything like that. I'd rather not do the oil and opt for just being as healthy as I can. So it does stick a little bit to the basket, but I'll go ahead and we'll move one over to the side and let's have a taste. It is nice and crisp. Fried green tomatoes are so excellent. It has that crunch. It has a little kick of that cayenne that you can kind of get in the back of your throat. You can definitely change up the flavor profile if you like, but that is a heart-healthy version of fried green tomatoes, frying them in the air fryer. One other item, should you choose to use the oven, and if you're like me and you do not wish to use oil on the pan that you're baking them in, definitely do consider the parchment paper so that way it doesn't stick. I could have, and sometimes I do utilize parchment paper in the air fryer, but again, I want the air to cook around on all sides. But in the air fryer, I'm always flipping items, and you may be too in your air fryer. So it's super easy to just use the parchment and just kind of know that you're going to flip it, and that way your coating should not stick to the pan itself, but stay stuck to the food you're cooking. Just a little bonus tip for those of you who are not necessarily watching your salt intake. Definitely feel free to sprinkle some salt on the fried green tomatoes as they're coming out of the air fryer or the oven. Or you can definitely choose to add some salt to your seasoning mixture. And that will definitely help meet that salt need, should there be one, for your palate. As always, I'm super appreciative that you could join me. Please do like, subscribe, share, and I hope to see you again here soon. Bye for now.